In all of Europe, this is my favourite castle, CESKY KRUMLOV. It dates back to the early 13th century, and the village, which sits so elegantly on the banks of the Vltava River down below, is also UNESCO listed, and it dates from 1274. And if you take a look from the ramparts here on the castle, you'll see what I mean. It is just so picturesque.
The name Krumlov is derived from an old German term meaning crooked meadow, obviously referring to the area around which the Vltava River twists and turns on its path through the town. Latin documents referred to the town as Krumlovia. It was first mentioned in documents from 1253. The area's oldest settlement goes back to the oldest Stone Age. Mass settlement was noted in the Bronze Age, Celtic settlements in the younger Iron Age, approximately 400 BC, and Slavonic settlement has been dated as being from the 6th century AD. In the early Middle Ages, the paths along the Vltava River created the trade routes. In the 9th century, the area was probably owned by the noble Czech family of Slavnikovs, who were slaughtered by the rival family of Przemylids in 995. This area then became their property and was given by the ruling family to one of their own lines, the Vitegonen, or in Czech, the Vitkovs. In 1173, Vitek of Prachitsa was mentioned as an envoy to the Emperor Friedrich Barbarossa, and in 1179, he apparently settled in southern Bohemia. Vitek could freely dispose of his properties, and therefore he gave it to his 4 sons. This historically important moment is rendered in the painting Division of the Roses, which is exhibited inside CESKY KRUMLOV Castle. In 1251, the Bohemian king Ottokar II gained Austrian lands through marriage. Ottokar tried to populate the sporadically settled Shumava region in the Czech-Austrian borderland, and in this way integrate his domains in Bohemia with his newly gained territories in Austria. His efforts brought him into conflict with territories ruled by the sovereign family of Vitkovs. Frequent disagreements and armed clashes between Ottokar II and members of the particular branches of the Vitkovets family eventually weakened the power of the Bohemian king, who was killed in 1278. The township of Krumlov was established essentially in 2 stages. The first part was built below Krumlov Castle. The second part of the town was founded as a typical settlement on a green meadow, in a place where no previous settlement had been. The town subsequently took the shape as a large square with streets from its corners leading to the town walls. This part of the town was first mentioned in 1274. Since the very beginning of the town, both Czech and German nationalities were represented, and there was even an Italian presence. In 1302, the Krumlovian branch of the Vitkovs died out, and according to the laws, their domain should have passed to the king. At that time, the Krumlovian estates consisted of a relatively extensive network of castles and smaller subject towns which were sources of numerous incomes. A member of another powerful branch of the Vitkovets family, Jindřich von Rosenberg, asked King Vasilev II to override the laws and vest the Krumlovian estates to the Rosenbergs. This happened, and they later made Krumlov the main residence of their family. During the rule of the Rosenberg family, the town as well as the castle flourished. Crafts and trade developed, elaborate homes were built, and the town was endowed with various privileges such as the right to mill, brew beer, hold markets. Meat shops and breweries were built, and twice a year there was a fair. In 1376, there were 96 houses in the town. Peter I von Rosenberg was the sovereign responsible for giving the town its original 14th century appearance. He was brought up in the Cistercian monastery, and this upbringing had a strong influence on his personality. Under his rule, the Rosenberg estates flourished. Peter became the first man of the politics of the day, and at the same time, the richest aristocrat in the country. He founded the St. Vitus Church in CESKY KRUMLOV. He invited the orders of St. Clare, and the Franciscans, and had the Chapel of St. George built in the castle. In 1334, on a request from King John of Luxembourg, he invited Jews to the town. Jews were given a special street in the town, and in the functions of chamberlains, they were especially responsible for the administration of the Rosenbergs' finances. Peter tried to gain a glory equal to the royal court, Yinjik even marrying the widow of King Václav III. Peter's sons were engaged in royal services. His oldest son died in 1346 at the side of King John in the Battle of the 100 Years' War at Crécy. The town's later 15th century appearance was given especially by Ulrich II von Rosenberg. Under his rule, the territory was considerably enlarged, due mainly to his clever policy during the Hussite Wars. At the beginning, Ulrich supported the Hussite movement, especially in matters of the speculation of church properties. During this time, he enriched himself with territories formerly owned by the Cistercian monastery. After the Hussite disturbances calmed down, he reverted back to the side of the Catholic Church, and his court in Krumlov became a refuge for Catholic intelligence and artists expelled from Prague. His court thus became a political centre and a bastion of support for the Pope's counter-reformation. In the 16th century, the town was ruled by the last Rosenbergs, who influenced the present appearance on the town and its surroundings. Peter Vogt von Rosenberg, the last member of the family, was forced by debts to sell Krumlov to Habsburg Emperor Rudolf II in 1601, who then placed his illegitimate son, Don Julius, there for a short period of time. In 1611, the town faced the heavy assault of the Passau army, and during the 30 Years' War, it was occupied by the Emperor's army. Finally, in 1648, it was invaded by the Swedish army. The 30 Years' War brought a new lordship to the town. The Habsburg Emperor Ferdinand II vested the town to the Styrian family of Eggenberg. In 1622, in return for their financial support during the war. Afterwards, 3 generations of the Eggenbergs held CESKY Krumlov. The family of Eggenbergs died out at the beginning of the 18th century, and in 1719, their heirs, the Schwarzenbergs, came to Krumlov. As early as the 19th century, nationality-based problems sometimes broke out between the Czech and German populations. After the declaration of the Czechoslovakian Republic on October 28, 1918, the German population responded with the declaration of an independent Šumava province. This province was to become part of a newly constituted Austria. This movement was suppressed by the Czech army, and on the 28th of November, the region was occupied by Czech forces. By order of the Ministry of the Interior, from the 30th of April 1920, the town was renamed from Krumau to CESKY Krumlov, a name which had already been used in 1439. During World War II, there were neither any significant battles in CESKY Krumlov nor any bombing. Krumlov was liberated in 1945 by the American Army, and the German population was then expelled. Since the mid-1960s, special care has been devoted to the preservation of the historical merits of CESKY Krumlov, and in 1992 the town was included in UNESCO's World Heritage List. Bears have occupied the castle moat here since the Middle Ages, but today's bears are part of a rehabilitation program which is being conducted by the castle. The visitor today enjoys a time warp experience in both the castle and the village far below.